Brandon, thank you for joining me, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no worries. Glad we finally got to do this.
Finally, because life be life, and
Mm-hmm.
So the first film we got to talk about is just Night of the Reaper, brother. Like, it's probably one of my favorite movies from last year. I went in totally blind, no trailer, nothing. Where did you get the story from?
I mean, I'd wanted to do a babysitter movie for the longest time. Just, I saw When a Stranger Calls when I was a kid, and just I saw it at a birthday party, and just watching that first 20 minutes, like the only real 20 minutes that anybody really talks about in that film. But and I watched it with a bunch of kids, and we were all eating pizza and drinking soda, and it was just this like really fun experience that kind of stuck with me. And so as I got into making features, I always, in the back of my head, I wanted to do a babysitter film. The problem is, like, there's films like House of the Devil that do the babysitter film so well that I didn't want to just do another House of the Devil. I mean, I would, that'd be great, but it wouldn't get, it's hard to make that again. So my brother and I, we started talking about different ideas, and we kind of came up with this kind of twist on the House of the Devil setup and the premise and all of this stuff, and how you kind of lead the audience in one direction for a film, and then you pull the rug out from under them. And that, we were just trying to get to that moment, and we kind of reverse engineered it with this whodunit thing to kind of, the goal was to create a movie that felt like you knew where it was going, and then you don't. And that was kind of the goal going into it.
Because that is exactly what it was. I'm like, is this another whodunit? Because I think the whodunit in the slasher franchise is probably the most redundant thing in horror right now, because it feels like every slasher is like Scream or like The House on the Left or just insert movie there. Like, you took it like left field for me. And I was mad at myself because I'm like, all right, I think this person's a killer. And then you were like, nope. It is not a whodunit. It is a basic revenge film that was pretty sick.
Cool.
And
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, it's all kind of designed to be that way. And you said you've watched it more than once now.
I watched it 4 times.
Okay, so it's different once you've seen it once, like it's an experience that way. But if you watch it again, it's just a different movie, because the twist thing isn't a part of it anymore. Going in, so you're like, oh, I see. I mean, that's how it's built anyways. It's kind of for that rewatchability where, every scene you're like, oh, okay, like that's what's happening when she's with Hattie and she's giving her coffee and stuff like that. Like there's all this kind of stuff there that is kind of peppered throughout that you would never get on the first the first watch. And that was really fun to write.
And the fun part for me was I had a bunch of my friends over, and we were like watching it, and I'm just watching people like just dive into this film. And they're like, well, why is she not checking on the kid upstairs? And I'm like, well, you're about to find out.
Yeah.
And then they're like,
sure.
well, we don't really like the friend very much because she's not really involved. And I'm just sitting back, and just when the reveal big like happens, you just see the entire room light up. And that's cool. The fun for me, because I've seen it so many times. But I just showed my wife for the first time. And she goes, why can't more films be like this? Because it's really, like we said, it's just copy paste. Cool person in mask, and then reveal. That's basically what it is nowadays. Sure. But what has the journey been like for you, going from Night of the Reaper and going basically straight into another project?
So it was actually a little different than how they released. Like, I was in post production on a movie called The Puppet Man back in 2022. Oh no, sorry, 2023. And I was like deep in post. We were doing the post sound mix, and we had written this script called BodyCam, and the post sound was taking a lot longer than I wanted it to, and like the movie wasn't coming out for a while. So I was just like, you know what, guys, let's just hit pause. Let's like I'm just gonna go shoot this other movie really quick, and then I'll come back. We'll finish the sound. We'll finish the movie, and we'll move on. And so like it was designed to be a movie that we just shoot really quickly, and it's very, efficient, and we get it out there really fast. But what ended up happening is the visual effects and everything on it took so long that, we started post on this in 2023, and then we shot Night of the Reaper in October of 2024. and then I finished both films back to back in July last year. So I had to deliver to Shudder both films, and one was Night of the Reaper on July 1st, and then I had to deliver BodyCam on July 15th. And so it was like it wasn't drawn up the way that it came out and stuff. Like, we started filming the movie 3 years ago, pretty much to this date, and it just took so long to finish it. So um, yeah, it was weird to have uh, Night of the Reaper come out, even though we shot it a year and a half after we shot Bodycam, and just the whole process was so backwards from how I'm used to it. But yeah, it was wild. It was weird because like one week I would just be full body cam and I'd just be like sitting there working on that. Then the next week I'd be like, all right, I got to work on Reaper. I'm going to do some stuff on there. And I'd kind of like bounce back and forth whenever I'd get tired of one or the other. And so pretty much all of 2025 up until July when I delivered was just bouncing back and forth between these two movies and just like, sitting there and just clicking away endlessly till they were done.
Because I was confused. I was like, because Night of the Reaper talk was like pretty much like settled down, and then all of a sudden,
Mm-hmm.
I was browsing through Facebook and I saw IGN picked up Bodycam,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Who's putting out Bodycam?" And then I was like scrolling. I'm like, "Wait, did they just do a film like a couple months ago?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"I didn't see anything about this." Like, what is it like for you for IGN to start talking about your films just out of nowhere like that?
That was cool. So they had the exclusive for the trailer. Like there's a PR team that works with Shudder, and they're kind of just like talking to their Rolodex of outlets for different exclusives. So IGN got the poster and the trailer. And as someone, I grew up reading like N64.com before IGN was a thing. And so to have, I like grew up through the N64 to IGN 64 to IGN GameCube and all the like the PlayStation and all that crap. And so growing up with that, and then all of a sudden they have the lead on the trailer. That was super cool because that was the biggest outlet that's ever done a trailer release for me. Just in terms of just sheer size of IGN and like their reach. So yeah, that was super cool. And then you just get like Fangoria did a clip and like MovieWeb did a clip, and it's
Yep.
just it's this really weird process where like every other day something's happening. But kicking it off with IGN for sure got a ton of people to sort of notice the movie, ahead of the launch, which is what you're hoping for.
So one of the things I liked about Night of the Reaper was the mask.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was probably the coolest thing I've ever seen. Followed by with the cast. How did you get such a great cast to fit your film?
We had a casting process like you would do on, most films. We had a casting director, this girl Coco in LA, and she just did a great job just building, getting us a lot of good people that could read for it. And that's like a blessing and a curse because a lot of the films, like Body Cam, for example, we didn't have a casting director. I knew Sean Rogerson personally because I'd worked with him before, and like Keegan Connor Tracy, I knew her, and like we did some casting, but not with an agent or anything like that. It was very kind of like grassroots. So having, we had like 70 people read for Dina. We had like 50 people read for Hattie. A ton of people read for the sheriff and all these roles. So it was just like, it's a lot of just watching people say the same things over and over slightly differently and just making like a gut instinct choice, like
Yeah.
one thing with Dina is that written in the script she's blonde because um are we like spoilers are fine here, it doesn't matter.
It's your movie, man.
Okay, I'm fine with it. But there was going to be a thing like when she returns home from college, her mom remarks like, "Oh, you colored your hair," and it was so she would look more like Hattie when she's babysitting, so that when they're watching, they're not confused. And when we found Jessica, it was like, "Oh my god, this girl's a total star." We just took that out of the script because it was like, I get it, but at the same time, she kind of leans into that Jocelyn Donahue, the hair from House of the Devil, and just has this like very natural 80s look, which I think it works better than if she was blonde. But that was like a separate reveal we had in the film where she either like had a wig that was really cool, or we revealed that she had dyed her hair. But yeah, I mean, it's just like getting a list of actors, and they're all great, and you're just like, I just making a gut instinct choice on a lot of these people and just hoping to God that it works out. And they were all super cool to work with, which is the best part, anyways. So yeah, we just got lucky. And then my son, he played Max, which was fun. I so that casting was different. I created him.
I was gonna say, was that your son in the movie?
Yeah,
That is wild because he was perfect too.
yeah, he was great.
Like, but I gotta give the hats off to Jessica when
Mm-hmm.
when you get to the final act and she is revealed. It
Yeah,
just felt like a switch just shot off, and she's
totally.
just like diabolic when she
Mm-hmm.
has the face paint on and her head just moves and she's just talking really soft. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you came in contact with her, but I think she's gonna be a huge star.
Yeah, I do too. She's like, I remember because she read for us and it was just like a random read. And I was thinking at first, because she's got these huge cinematic eyes, and I was like, oh, maybe she could be like Emily or something like that. Like she could play the sister that opens up the movie. And because there's so many people that were really good, and you're like piecing them together and everything. But yeah, it was like I went onto her Instagram and there's like a picture of her with Nicolas Cage because she was in that movie Dream Scenario, and I'm like, man, this girl's just like on the cusp of something, isn't she? And she's in that show Gen V. And so, yeah, I mean, we just like got her at the exact right moment because she's working a ton now, like
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's really hard. It would have been impossible to get her now without, the time was just like the exact right moment to get her. So yeah, it was a total fluke.
I wouldn't say a fluke. Come on now.
It's a little bit. It's the timing. It's like, well, it's like timing, preparation, all those things that kind of create your own luck. But yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, like, yeah, I trusted my gut on her, and I, totally paid off.
So one of the things I loved about your film, because I have a long list of loves about your film, but the two things that really did it for me was the intro to the film and
Hmm.
the closing. Like the
Yeah.
whole VHS tracking, like static, just spoke to like 10-year-old me.
Hmm.
Was that always the plan to open and close the film?
Um, what do you mean, like the actual, just like more specifically, what do you mean, the opening sequence, like the cold open?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So when my brother and I were first talking about the script, he kind of just went off. I don't know if you've seen Superhost, but I was shooting Superhost, and he went and he just wrote the cold open, and it basically hasn't been touched other than like some slight tweaking here and there. But he kind of just wrote this cold open and sent it to me while I was on set, and I read it and I was just like, holy shit, like this is such a fully developed, fully realized thing. And I was so excited to kind of continue building this thing with him. But yeah, I mean, I knew that we needed like a total banger of a cold open, just to sort of, not even just to open the movie in a cool way, but to trick the audience into thinking they knew what was going to happen. It's like, okay, the movie is set up to be like, girl babysitter gets killed, and then we jump forward in time, and then we set up a new babysitter who's going to get killed or close to killed until the sheriff saves the day. That's basically the like template that we're following to make this movie. And it's just designed to be like a trick, and we're just trying to hold the wool over the audience's eyes until we can finally reveal it. And so, yeah, the cold open kind of serves a couple of different purposes, but that, starting the movie off with like a really fun and like upbeat thing, was just something I've always wanted to do. And so it was really cool. And then for the ending, I mean, that when we were kind of breaking the story, having kind of a point of view flip and having everything kind of change at a certain point, um, yeah, it was always like the movie was built with that in mind. Like it was kind of always leading to this moment. And yeah, I mean, it was always one of those things. Like if that doesn't work, the movie's not going to work for you. It just won't.
Yeah.
So it was, you're putting a lot of faith into the audience and everything to just sort of go with you for the journey. Cause, I mean, it kind of bills itself as a slasher, but there's not a ton of slashing in the movie.
No.
It's different than that. Like you said, it's a revenge tale. So, yeah, I mean, it was just like, it was always designed to do the thing that it does. And, some stuff works a little different than we hoped, and some stuff better, and stuff like that. It's, making indies is such a weird process, because you're just like holding on and just hoping to God it all works out.
But Night of the Reaper worked because I was actually mad at you for a week because I usually can pick like, all right, who's the
Mm-hmm.
killer, what's going to
Right.
happen. But your film made me feel like I was out of touch with horror films, and I'm mad about that still.
That's good. That's great.
Because I was going to send you a nasty email when I first watched because I was like, and because I'm 39 years old and I usually have a pretty good idea, but for
Mm-hmm.
you to pull the rug out from under me in my own home is really disrespectful.
Good. Yeah, I appreciate I was able to do that.
All right, let's talk about Body Cam because you went from a slasher film to a found footage film.
Mm-hmm.
What was the transition like for you? Because now that we know that you were shooting both at the exact same time, there had to have been difficulties because shooting a found footage and a typical narrative film is really, really different.
Yeah. No, it was crazy different. I mean, it was interesting because it was more like shooting a play because each scene was like in a movie you're shooting like coverage of a scene, you've got close-ups, you've got all these things, you're lighting it, you're doing all that stuff. But with body cam it's all fully stripped away. Like the actors shot 99% of the film other than the dash cam stuff, and then they lit the film for 99% of the scenes as well. So when you're giving direction to them, like not only are they doing the acting part, but they're doing the filming part too. So, every scene is like so long. They go into this house and it's all a oneer because there's nothing to cut. Like you're just doing the scene. And so, it was a really interesting experience because as a director, you're like watching, a 3 or 4 minute scene happen and you've got a person that's in the scene filming it. And so you're giving notes like, okay, you've got to do this and say, this line, it should be here and blah, blah, blah. But then at the same time, you're also like, okay, and then for the camera, you need to make sure your chest is pointed this way for this thing and then that thing for that thing because all the elements need to come together. And so, it was a cool lesson just on how to like make scenes interesting by keeping the camera moving and moving, the actors around in the space and really kind of feeling everything out. Whereas, Night of the Reaper, like every shot is lit. And so it's like, okay, here's a close up. We're going to light the close up. Here's the turn. We're going to turn around the whole room. We got to light the other side of the room. It's just such a different process. It's so much slower. Whereas, doing found footage was so like kinetic and visceral. We're just like, okay, go. And then we're going to go again and we're going to reset. And it's just, the energy is so high that we shot it. We only shot it in 12 days, whereas Reaper was 22. And so, it was just like a totally different challenge and a different kind of thing to do. But it's still filmmaking. You're still kind of following the same rules and hopes and dreams. It's just a different method to get there. And so it was interesting to see when it all worked and when it wouldn't work and how you have to adjust. Like it was just a totally different experience. I'm kind of rambling, but it was just it was a lot.
It seems like a lot because I'm used to like found footage being gritty and dirty, like, but yours was like top notch. What cameras did you use? Just regular GoPros, like.
Yeah, we shot on a GoPro, and then the night vision. GoPros don't do night vision, and so we bought these like actual really crappy body cams from Amazon, and they have night vision, and so whenever we'd have to do that, we would just bring those out. So yeah, it was just like running and gunning with a very small crews, like 6 or 7 of us, and then the actors, and just like going around the city and just shooting this movie and kind of in secret. Because yeah, and that was another thing is that the movie was called Body Cam, but we didn't want to say that because we didn't want to give the gimmick up, like let people know that we were doing a body cam movie. So we called it 12, which is how many days we shot. It's also like a derogatory term for police. And so, yeah, it was just kind of like done in secret and no one knew. And we were just like doing our own little thing. And yeah, it was super unique. And, it was just a fun kind of exercise in filmmaking. It's just a totally different way to do it.
So what has been the reaction like from like reviewers and stuff like that about body cam? Because I know found footage is kind of a gray area in horror that it's
Yeah.
not really for everybody. It's one of my favorites, but I know just because I like it doesn't mean everybody else is gonna like it. What has been like the
Yeah.
reviews and the reactions been like for you?
It's been weirdly opposite of what I was expecting. Like, I think the horror community in general is incredibly supportive. Like, they love horror, they love different things, they love to see all these different things. And like again, I'm only getting like a snapshot of it when I see like Reddit or Facebook or whatever what I'm seeing. But like critically, it's done really well, and it's it's sitting at like right now it's at like 87 on Rotten Tomatoes, but the popcorn meter's like 35 or something like that, and it's been interesting because like all these Facebook groups that are like found footage horror fans and like on Reddit and all these and like the horror subreddits and all this stuff, like I would say it's like 80% just hate the movie. And so it kind of has been a weird thing where it's done better with the mainstream crowds and like and press than it has with the horror press, which was surprising to me because I thought that they would eat it up, but they didn't really. So it's been interesting to see how it's happened.
And you can never really satisfy both sides of
Right.
that either. So
For
it's
sure.
like I take Rotten Tomatoes like a grain of salt. You're either
Yeah.
going to get 90% on one side and 10 on
Mm-hmm.
the other,
Yeah.
or 100% on this side and 5% on this side.
Right.
Does when you go and look at the reviews for your films, does that impact how you film make in the future?
Um, no, I mean, yes and no. I mean, it's like, it depends on the criticism, right? Like if someone's like, "Oh, it's too slow" or something like that, whatever. That's something that kind of makes sense. I mean, we're in a different time than we were like 20 years ago where we have TikTok and we have all social media brain and we're watching a movie and we've got a phone at the same time. Like the way we consume this stuff is so different. And so like you see all these articles about like Stranger Things and how during season 5, like every other scene they're re-establishing the plot and the characters are just telling the audience the plot because they don't know if the audience is paying attention. They might be like
Yeah.
missed it, and so they're like, oh, that's what they're doing, okay, cool, back to their thing. And so I do think that there's like there's certainly a lot of things to consider now when making a movie where I think the audiences have changed. I think there are people like probably yourself that like that older style of film, and that's great, but you just sort of have to pick and choose what you take from that because I at the end of the day, like I'm making the movie that I feel is right, and I'm going to make decisions. Like there's the amount of decisions you're making in a film, like every frame of the film is a decision and a choice. And yeah, you kind of at the end of the day you have to stand by it, but sometimes there are things that people pick out or they say or whatever and they're not wrong. And so it's just like a balance of figuring out which is right and that you should apply maybe to the next film, or which is just like you can just sort of toss and they just didn't like it, they were never going to like it. Like I'll have reviews where they're like, I hate this kind of movie and I hated this movie, and it's like, all right, well, I'm not going to listen to you because this isn't for you, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But people that dig it and stuff, like what they like, you kind of want to lean into that more. And so it's a weird balance, but I'm certainly aware of what people are saying.
My biggest thing with people is I don't like found footage and I don't like horror. Then why do you watch
Yeah.
a horror found footage film and then
Right.
go online and say how much you
Sure.
hate something that you don't want to watch anyway? Why waste your time is my biggest critique, because I have
Yeah.
got in a couple arguments with people about like that particular stance on films. If you don't like it, if you don't like something good, don't watch it.
Right.
How hard
Yeah, I
hard
agree.
is it? Don't waste your time on that. But
Yeah.
one of the biggest things I did like about BodyCam was, number one, the monster. Where did
Oh,
the
cool.
the monster design come from? Because that alone needs a figure tomorrow.
That's funny because like on 80% of those people, 80% of the 80%, the monster is the reason why they hate it because it's CG, right? And so when we shot the film back in 2023, we shot it with an actor and he like played the thing, and he, was this big, tall, skinny dude, and he was like wearing just underwear. And it was one of those things where we're like, I think this could be cool if we did something in post with it. I'm not 100% sure, but we're going to get the animation. We're going to do all the stuff. And so we shot it, we edited it with him. And then when we brought this VFX team onto the film, we started discussing, like, could we replace him with something? Like, could we create a character and replace his animation, do the same thing, but just to give it a little bit more of a supernatural presence? And they were like, yeah, this is a cool challenge. Let's do it. And so I came up with this idea of just like, I like the tall, skinny thing that, I've done that before and it seems to work well, and my imagination is limited. So I started with that. And, the big thing I started with was just like, okay, well, if this is a creature that lives underground, he doesn't need eyes because it's dark. So
Yeah.
what's hollow, giant hollowed out eyes. And then, when we started talking about it further, it was like, okay, well, what if he has like tentacles coming out of his back? And that kind of mirrors the mom, Miss Jackson. Her house, she's got like IV lines going to the tweakers that we call them. And it's like she's rehabbing these tweakers to pull them out of the underground and like get them back to like life.
Yeah.
And then the underman's using his tentacles, which are like a reverse of the IV lines, to control this population. And so it was kind of just like, lots of conversations, and they had some ideas of their own. And it's just kind of like, just, just coming up with random shit because it's a horror movie and you're just like, what would be cool? And I thought it was cool. So yeah, we kind of just leaned in that direction.
I don't think it would have worked with with an actual actor though.
Yeah.
Like
I
being the
mean,
monster.
yeah, you can't please everybody. It just is.
That's the internet for you, brother. Like like, come on now. Like I like the monster. Like I knew something was going to happen, but when it actually happened, that's not what I anticipated. I expected just a normal human being transforming into something.
Sure.
So I love the actual monster aspect, and I
Cool.
liked how the movie ended with the monster grabbing the people,
Mm-hmm.
because that to me opens up for a sequel. Is there a sequel going to happen with this?
I mean, every time you write something and you make something, you're like, I don't want to be done with this world, because like I just spent all this time creating this space to play in, and it's like, it feels like home. And so, I don't know. I mean, it really depends on what the feedback is, and when like Shudder comes back with the numbers and stuff, does it demand a sequel? Like to date, I've never done a sequel because nothing I've ever done has really hit in that way to garner something. So, I don't know. I mean, it was a cool experience and a different way to shoot a film. I would certainly do things differently, and I've learned a lot from doing it. But I don't know. I mean, I've definitely got ideas for one if something were to happen. But it's like 2 years of your life that you're going to be spending on something, and so it has to make sense. And so we'll see if Shudder comes back and they're like, "Well, you need another one." It's like, okay, I'll start. I could maybe start working on one, but I won't know for a while.
Since you've had basically shot two different films, have you found where you want to like continue like making films in found footage, or just a regular old slasher horror movie?
I mean, I prefer shooting non-found footage for sure. I just like the atmosphere on set where you're kind of building, and it's more methodical, and you've got just there's more control over everything, which I appreciate a lot. There's a lot more like unknowns when you're shooting found footage, and things happen, and there's like happy accidents and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I've done 5 traditional and 1 found footage. I mean, the 5 definitely all have found footage elements in them. But yeah, it's been, I don't know what, like, if BodyCam pops and everyone's like, we need another one now, and I'd be like, all right, let's do that next. But yeah, I honestly don't know. And I think that's like a strong suit, is not knowing what's next sometimes. Cause I've got a few scripts out there that we're trying to get financing on, and I'd be thrilled to do all of them. And they're all horror, and they're all different subgenres of horror. But, kind of having that flexibility of just being like willing to do whatever, wherever the kind of the current takes you, is cool. And not just like getting, okay, I need to do this one thing next, you can kind of limit yourself and limit your opportunities. So yeah, I'm kind of just like a free agent right now, waiting to see what's going to happen. And something will happen this year, I'm sure. And I'm excited to do it, whatever it is.
I can't wait for the next one, because you have delivered 2 of my favorite films. I wish I could just be like, here's all of my money, just keep making films for me. Just for
But you can do that. That's
I don't
fine.
really
I'll
care.
take it.
Like I don't care about anybody else. Just keep making stuff for me, because you are
Right.
hitting it out of the park, my man. Like seriously.
Cool. Thank you.
So my next question for you is, where was BodyCam filmed? Because there's a part of this film that absolutely tripped me out, was when they're driving to the house at the end.
Mhm.
Was the house at the end in the middle of a street?
No, all that stuff's CG. So we shot it in Calgary, which is where I live in Canada. And so basically, like that sequence, that was a big reason why the film took so long to make. because going into the production, like originally, I had no idea how it was going to be done. I was just like, I'll figure it out later. What we shot Jackson doing the whole performance in the car, and we basically just like spent the last shooting night of the principal photography just doing like figure eights in a farmer's market parking lot. And I was like, I'll figure it out later. And then when we were in the edit, it was just like, okay, this is not going to work. Like his performance was great, but it's not going to work. So that was the initial reason why we brought this VFX company on, was to help solve this thing. And so we came up with building a city map in Unreal Engine, and then we created this like driving path and like had all these light triggers and all these events that happened during it. And then when we had it, we like it was exported as like a 360 video, and we took it into a volume and we brought the car back. And this was like a year after we shot. And so we had to get Jackson, Jamie Calico, who plays Jackson, we had to get him back and like get the cop car back. And we basically reshot that sequence with with him able to see what he was doing, like he's actually in downtown. We've got the dash cam, we've got the camera on him, and we got to shoot it practically in a really cool way. And then when he does stop and the house is in the middle of the street, we just had like these posts there for him to look at, and it was just used for tracking data for the VFX team. But they just put a 3D model of the house there, and then it's just like editing trickery to make you think that they're all together. And so yeah, it was that was a situation where we swung way bigger than our budget would allow, and so it was like very creatively solved, and it was it turned out really cool.
Because it tripped me out, because when I watched it out, it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, wait, is this house in the middle of the street?
Right.
And then I backed it up and I watched it. I'm like, wait, I have to ask, because this really tripped me out. I'm like, what house is just in the middle of the street at night? And I was like, it has to be tricks. And then you tricking me once again, I'm not liking this very much, because you're putting out all the stops for me. Was that ending sequence always part of the script? Like, was that where you wanted to go?
Yeah, no, we definitely wanted to do that. It was it was just a matter of like, a year ago, I would say I didn't even know if it would even be in the film, because I didn't know if it was going to come together. It was just a crazy thing to put in a film of this size. And it just kind of like stuck to our guns and kept working on it and get it done. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it was scripted, and it was one of those things that's like, it's impossible to do. So how do you do it? And like, that's what I love about filmmaking, is solving impossible things. Because if this was Hollywood, they would have a team of people working on this thing. And like with this, it's just like me trying to solve, and then bringing this team in, and then like working on it with them and trying to figure it out, and coming up with a solution that we can afford. And it was just it was cool. It was cool as shit to see it work, even if it's like not perfect. It works.
Oh, it's definitely perfect.
That's huge.
It's perfect. Like, you can't tell at all, because when I watched it again last night, like there is no flaws in the film whatsoever for me. Like,
okay,
I don't understand why people are so half-hearted about it. Like, I think people in found footage should love this film because it's great, but I'm just meeting myself and I, so I can't really speak for myself. But you have done nothing wrong here, my man. Seriously. So my last and final question is: will either of these movies be released on physical media? Because I need a copy like tomorrow.
Yeah. That's weird. It's like normally, all of my movies have come out physically except for Reaper and BodyCam. And I've heard rumors that there might be a Vinegar Syndrome release of Reaper. I haven't heard directly from Shudder or anything, but the fact that it hasn't come out yet, because typically, like with the Puppet Man, for example, when I did that, it's like 3 months after release, the Blu-ray or the DVD comes out, and then it's just there. But Reaper's been out now for what, 7 months or something like that,
and it's now.
Something, yeah. And it's still not out. So as far as and I've been giving them behind the scenes stuff, and I still owe them one more piece. But like, I've recorded like 3 commentaries. I've recorded, we have like deleted scenes, all this crap that I've sent to put on it. And I haven't heard a date or anything yet, but I'm hoping that we do get a Vinegar Syndrome release, because that would be sick. I would love to have that. That's a cool notch on the belt for sure. And then BodyCam, it's just so early to say. Same thing. Like, I'll deliver them a bunch of behind the scenes stuff and hope for a release. And I'm sure it'll get something. I just don't know when, which is weird because it's my movie. Like, when's it going to come out? I
Yeah.
have no idea. Like, once you give it up, it's out of your hands.
It like becomes not your film anymore. It's just theirs.
Yeah, I mean, they control it in their spots, and like, you can, they're very open to talk about it. It's not like they're hiding anything from me. You get busy with life and things, and then you just, time passes and you're like, oh shit, where's the Blu-ray? And then, I haven't had my, oh shit, where's the Blu-ray moment yet. So I'll have it soon, and then I'll reach out and let you know.
Cause it's like, for me, I like having physical copies of films because to me, it's like having a library of just stuff on your TV now just doesn't, it defeats the purpose for me now. So yeah. I'm like, I like, see, there you go.
But this is Germany. Like, they sent me a copy. So I'm like, okay. But it doesn't work. I can't watch it. I don't have a region free player. So I'm just like, it's going to sit there.
You can't even watch your own film?
I mean, I own it, but yeah, I mean, I can't watch that version of it. But yeah, one interesting thing, in Germany, the spine's upside down. I don't know if you can see that.
Huh?
Yeah, it's upside down. It is. So if like, any other Blu-ray, it's like, what do we got here? I want to find something that's not embarrassing.
Not embarrassing?
Well, here's Fight Clubs, and it's, they're I can't.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's backwards. It's just,
yeah,
those crazy Germans.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
I to be honest with you, I thought when you said not embarrassing that you're going to bring out like Debbie Does Dallas, like 1, 2, and 3 or something.
No, nothing like that. But there's just random stuff on my shelf, so I had to make something cool.
So where can people follow you and stay up to date with all of your films?
Instagram's the main place where I post and everything. I kind of keep everything updated on there. But my handle's at the Brandon Christensen. Very simple.
So people can follow you, because I know you're going to bring out some more films, and I know you're going to be back on here talking about it. So, Brandon, thank you very, very, very much for joining me today. I appreciate you.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks for having me. I'm glad we got to do it.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.